Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to cover the XLOOKUP function in Excel. It'll take about 5 minutes. It's a shorter overview of this function just to get you started. So hit subscribe and notifications bell because I will be releasing more in-depth videos in the coming weeks of XLOOKUP with some more examples for you to follow. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll understand why it replaces the old and rusty VLOOKUP function, in my opinion, and I know many users are still working with VLOOKUP, and subsequently its well-known restrictions and limitations. So let's get started. So XLOOKUP is called the successor to VLOOKUP, and by the end of the video I think you will see why. So the goal of XLOOKUP is to look up a value in one row or column and return a value from a corresponding row or column of data. You can see in this example, Chester Burton, we're looking up his name in column E and we want to return what country relates to him. So this actually comes to the first advantage of XLOOKUP. That is the separation of lookup and return arrays. So this will be familiar to you if you've ever used index and match, but if you've used only VLOOKUP, you will know that you have to select the whole array and you need to put the column that the value is in that you want to return. We don't need to do this anymore. So this function won't break. If you inserted columns, deleted columns or rows, the function doesn't break. Another advantage of XLOOKUP is it returns an exact lookup by default, so you don't need to put in true or false or 1 or 0 at the end. So to get started with it, you really only need the first 3 arguments. We can also use an XLOOKUP horizontally as well. So you no longer need to use the HLOOKUP. We can actually use XLOOKUP horizontally. So let's look up Shelley's January through to March figures and see what her sales figures were for the first 3 months. And again, no need to use the HLOOKUP function. The next benefit of using XLOOKUP comes from the next argument that we can put in, and that is if not found. So if we look up Dan Snyder and they're not found in the data set, so we can't return their country and we get the #NA error, what we can do now is enter our own text or value in there to return if the value is not found. That removes the need for an if error wrapped around the XLOOKUP function. So let's put as an example, not found. So by adding the 4th argument, it's not going to affect any that we do find, but it is going to help us with records that we haven't found. So James Jones, as we know, is not in there, so it returns not found. So previously we would have had to wrap the function, which would be the XLOOKUP function, with the if error. No longer need to do that. It's contained within the XLOOKUP function. Okay, now we're a bit more comfortable with XLOOKUP. Let's look at the next argument, which is the match mode. And what we can do with XLOOKUP is we can use wildcard characters in there. So this is great if we need to carry out partial matches. If you're not quite sure how Wayne is spelt, we can use the wildcard character within the lookup value. So in this example, I've put a question mark, which is my wildcard character. I don't know if Wayne has a Y or not. That's okay. I put potentially it could, so I've put the question mark in there. And the option that I want to use is 2 on this, because I'm saying I want to use a wild character match. And what Excel does, it does return Turkey as the correct answer. Now let's look at the last argument in the XLOOKUP function, and that is search mode. This is the 5th argument. Again, this is optional, but it allows us to decide which type of search the XLOOKUP does. So by default, Excel searches first to last, that is top to bottom, or left to right if you're using a horizontal lookup. And this is one thing that VLOOKUP and even the index match just can't do, but we can do it in XLOOKUP. And we can do this without even sorting our data first. So this is really useful. If I wanted to find the last date that Advanced Synergy ordered, I can use the XLOOKUP. I can do XLOOKUP Advanced Synergy and I want to return the date. If not found is optional. Match mode is optional, and so is search mode, but I want to search last till first to give me the last time or the last order taken. If I just put in -1, close the parentheses, it tells me that Advanced Synergy, the last time they ordered was on the 26th of the 8th. That's a really great benefit of XLOOKUP. You don't have to sort your data, and you can look up the last or the first instance of a date or an item in your data set. There's a few watchouts or caveats with XLOOKUP, and we'll just briefly cover those. The biggest lookout in XLOOKUP is your lookup array and your return array have to be the same length. So if they're not the same length, you will get an error. You'll get the pound error. They must be the same length. That will probably be the most common error that you see in using the XLOOKUP. Just make sure that your lookup array and your return array are the same size. So that's a really quick overview of the XLOOKUP function. I'll leave a link to download the spreadsheet so you can work along with these examples if you want to with the video. I do hope you found it useful. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because I will be releasing some more in-depth videos with some extra examples of how to use this great Excel function. Thanks for watching. See you next time.